going to go over our responses to each of the questions. First, I'll read the question. And support efforts to increase women participation in STEM. We stated that we would introduce mentorship programs at the K through 12 and us to exchange knowledge in African diaspora and Africans in country. We also are looking to educate parents on the importance of STEM and also fundraise for assets such as books and computers for children in Africa. Sure. We'll be expanding established programs and engaging African community leaders to promote STEM. We're looking to encourage peers, women, as students and their male women in continuing to pursue their education in STEM. We're looking to also begin conversations within the diaspora here in DC in communities that are African and African American, inclusion in tech education. We're looking to host summer STEM camps in Jamaica and build a village based on STEM, alternative energy, agriculture, and business. The second question is, what should be the role of public, private, academia, and civil society? We're looking for investments in philanthropy through incentives. We want to link private organizations and the government with educational programs at universities to help prepare the workforce and strengthen workforce development programs. We like to unify and coordinate disparate programs across the spectrum to eliminate redundancies and waste. We have exposure and knowledge about STEM education. We look to our communities to introduce legislation and that provides equity and parity with women in technology and in STEM. We like the private sector to engage in effective implementation of these programs across the diaspora. And we're looking to change the culture. We would like a culture of inclusion for women in technology, maths, and other STEM areas. The third question is, what should development institutions do to expand the involvement of women in STEM? We need to provide specific funding for STEM programs that target women. We want to continue the dialogue and conferences, exchanging information and ideas, and moving this as an agenda item, moving it forward. We want to also conduct statistical analysis on the current status of STEM programs to determine their effectiveness and do gap analysis and create sustainable future programs in the future. We want to continue funding and expanding programs that are working well, that engage women in STEM fields. We like to continue to expand opportunities in jobs, make sure that once women have their education, there's no real issue for them to obtain a good position. As well, we would like to increase the amount of educational resources and toolkits for children in the diaspora, introducing them to STEM. Through competitions and other monetary rewards for girls in primary school, and encourage free primary education for girls. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. I think since we have the mic, we will be taking, people can present up there. So number 2, yes. If we can.
Okay. I'm representing Group 2. My name is Sonia Smith, and our answer to the first question, what will you personally do to encourage and support efforts to increase women's participation in STEM fields? Aster is working with Fawe, and they have gender-sensitive teacher training, and we thought that would be a good idea. Boba said we should have research, gender-sensitive research for teaching. Particularly, he cited textbooks that only have pictures and examples that include men, and there should be some assessment of the examples in those textbooks. For preschool, we focus on learning styles and training the teachers, make them sensitive to the learning styles of different students. This is through the CETA Foundation that Esther is working with. We thought that separate classes by gender for math and science would be appropriate, and that we would ensure the quality of the instructors is the same for both classes. We would also encourage partnerships for women in STEM to get PhDs, partnerships among African universities, U.S. universities, et cetera. And there are several programs in Mali that work with, that identify problems and differences for girls. FEMSA is one of them. AFEMA is another one. And AFEMA is one that funds competitions for girls in STEM, and this is a good program that we thought would address question 1. Additionally, we thought training for the parents so that they could see the importance of programs for girls and encourage their girls to participate in those. For question 2, what should be the role of public, private, and academia and civil society? Like group 1, we thought jobs in place upon program completion, so there's no issue for jobs. Internships for girls by the private sector corporations in country. Mainstreaming gender into science, technology, and innovation policies through the government. Fellowships for women in STEM, both in country as well as in the U.S. Leveraging women that are already in the private sector to serve as mentors and sponsors for women in STEM. And also, this could be administered, we thought, through the Ministries of Education in country. Requirement for unconscious bias training through government and private industry, and to have the universities recruit girls from all high schools. And financial support for low-income children could also be something that the private sector could do. For question 3, which is, my glasses would help. For question 3, what should the development institutions do to expand the involvement of women in STEM? We thought facilitating and increasing the momentum for gender parity, as well as the scholarships and fellowships. Mentoring is something they could facilitate, providing forums such as this to share best practices, and transition the research from girls and the conversation from girls' education to women's education to gendered education, and sponsor gender research to make sure it's current. Making decisions based on old research, we need to make sure that the research is current upon which we're making decisions. Gender in the budgeting for these organizations, advocacy, and we thought they should lead by example. These institutions should have women leaders in their organizations as well, not just saying to others that you should have women in your leadership. Start initiatives for women and sponsor those before pre-K, because we discussed that gendered socialization starts from 0 to 3. And promote family-friendly policies both in industry and higher ed. In the higher ed instance, we discussed when you become a faculty member or graduate student, that's about the time you want to start a family, and so you need policies in place to extend the length of time for degree and extend the tenure clock, and give women the opportunity to be elected to Parliament. And we must operationalize this so it's not just individuals that benefit, but it's an operational aspect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Change existing biases against women, which are currently ingrained in a lot of cultures. Mentorship and networking were also mentioned quite a few times, especially for women in the pipeline coming up to STEM jobs, where it was mentioned that there's not a lot of opportunities for people who aren't currently working but are trying to achieve that goal. And then also to continue to translate STEM to everyday life, as was demonstrated from abroad today. And for the second question, public-private partnerships were brought up, everyone working together to increase funding create buy-in at a local level, have governments create smart and actionable policies, and a roadmap to make this reality with the help of local NGOs and international development organizations. And there definitely needs to be community buy-in, and the public sector needs help. The public sector needs help from the private to develop capacity to achieve these goals and make them a reality for women in their countries. And for our third question, this question created a lot of conversation within our group, and essentially we settled on that objectives need to be coming from inside the countries. They don't need to be prescribed from abroad, and foreign development agencies need to help governments achieve the goals. It doesn't work if objectives are coming from abroad, and there also needs to be a momentum to create STEM jobs within the countries to avoid a brain drain. If we push STEM in the countries and then there's no jobs waiting for these women when they come out, they're going to have to leave the different countries. And that's about it from us. Improve coordination between different development institutions and coordination between governments across Africa. Thank you. Do you want me to hold?
Hi, I'm Remy Voglozin. Okay, for the first question, we said that it was needed to provide the scholarships, also a program for mentorships, and we needed to instill the prospect of learning by doing, and also the peer-to-peer mentorship, and also there was a need of collaboration between the diaspora by the means of internships. And for the second question, we needed also to unite the public, private, academia, and civil society by joining the fund, create the database of all the existing funding opportunities. We needed also to teach by leading, creating some networking, and lead by example, so that to show girls that they could achieve the competencies in the STEM, and also created some policy that didn't show discrimination, and create also programs that include training. And also train, quote-unquote, train the trainers by trying to change the culture and also the stereotyping that is really ingrained in all of these cultures. And for the third question, we said that we needed to develop 21st century skills, and also that the different organizations that provide funds for the advancement of women in the STEM program, there needed to be transparency among these organizations, and the way that these organizations are managed. And also we needed to provide aid to the organization that give women an opportunity and lasting mentorship via the means of internship, and also a regional resource center where the women and girls can have access to the information they need, and also the creation of a database where we can have all the list of the women in the STEM. Thank you.
Certainly, we are very pleased with all of the groups did excellent work. Give yourselves a hand. Oh, I'm sorry.
And then there's a group out in the...
The fourth group.
There is a group that is out in the field that was doing the group discussion also. So we want to hear from the office in Abidjan. Yes. They not formed the fifth group really, because they couldn't get involved in any of the four groups. So if they are able to give us some feedback, that would be good. Do we get response from Abidjan? It's already almost 5 p.m. So.
Allô, nous sommes là. Allô? Vous nous entendez?
Yes, yes. Vous avez un rapporteur?
Oui, nous avons un rapporteur. Nous avons un groupe à Abidjan. Le groupe a été présidé par Madame Gueye, Yvonne, avec pour secrétaire de séance Madame Mariam Diakité et pour rapporteur le professeur Ndri Yoma, à qui je passe la parole.
Merci. Tout à l'heure, vous m'avez invité à prendre la parole. Malheureusement, il y avait un mauvais contact avec Abidjan. Et je suis arrivé juste après le début de la séance. Et avant de donner le rapport, il y a un point sur lequel je voulais revenir puisque les autres points qui m'intéressaient ont été pris en compte. Il s'agit effectivement de la levée des contraintes liées à la femme elle-même dans le cadre de sa promotion dans les STEM. Je suis enseignant-chercheur, donc j'ai encadré beaucoup de dames qui avaient des possibilités intrinsèques de poursuivre des études dans les STEM. Malheureusement, pour des questions matrimoniales ou plus larges, pour des questions sociales, elles n'ont pas pu aller poursuivre la formation parce qu'il fallait quitter la famille, notamment au niveau de la Côte d'Ivoire, se rendre soit en France, soit aux États-Unis pour acquérir une qualification plus importante. Donc je pense qu'il y a un travail à faire sur la femme elle-même pour que, sûre de ses capacités, elle puisse prendre conscience que bien sûr il existe des contraintes sociales, des contraintes culturelles, mais relever un peu ce défi pour suivre les formations. Et il y a des exemples où des femmes sont parties, elles ont réussi, elles sont revenues, ça n'a pas empêché le foyer n'a pas été cassé pour autant. Donc je voudrais vraiment insister sur cette barrière intrinsèque que nous souhaitons voir lever même par les femmes elles-mêmes. Et la deuxième chose sur laquelle je voudrais insister, c'est l'intégration effective des femmes formées dans la vie professionnelle. Et je crois que la Côte d'Ivoire a donné l'exemple très récemment en utilisant au mieux toutes les ingénieurs qui ont été formés par l'Institut national polytechnique dans la construction du 3e pont en Côte d'Ivoire où elles étaient des chefs de chantier, très jeunes d'ailleurs, et elles ont assumé. Donc je pense qu'un élément sur lequel on doit insister, c'est de faire confiance aux femmes qui ont acquis des compétences en STEM, de les valoriser et de les utiliser au mieux. Je pense que c'est ce que je voulais ajouter par rapport à tout ce qui a été dit au niveau du panel. Pour revenir au rapport lui-même, ils m'entendent, je pense. Pour revenir au rapport, qu'est-ce que nous pouvons faire pour encourager les filles dans les STEM? Nous avons pensé qu'il était important de créer des centres d'excellence pour les filles qui s'intéressent aux mathématiques à tous les niveaux de la pyramide scolaire, depuis l'école primaire, l'école secondaire et le supérieur. Il faut également promouvoir les leaders qui ont réussi dans les STEM pour créer des émulations et encourager les femmes qui voudraient faire la même chose. Nous avons aussi proposé qu'il y ait une organisation des concours genre Miss Mathématiques ou Miss Technologie, parce que ça permet aux petites filles, aux jeunes filles et aux femmes d'être distinguées pour leurs compétences, pour leurs connaissances dans les STEM, et ça crée donc une saine émulation. Et nous pensons que d'ici quelques années, avec ces exemples qui vont se multiplier dans toute l'Afrique, on pourrait avoir... Ensuite, nous avons proposé l'intégration de la formation du genre et du développement dans la communauté et dans les écoles. Parce que nous voyons que beaucoup d'obstacles sont liés à une ignorance de la communauté. Tout à l'heure, vous avez souligné les contraintes socio-culturelles qui font que même l'école n'est pas obligatoire et nous sommes pas suffisamment scolarisés. Et même quand on met en œuvre des programmes d'alphabétisation de la femme, du fait des contraintes socio-culturelles, elle n'assiste pas à ces formations. Alors voilà, en gros, ce qu'on pouvait dire comme proposition pour répondre à la première question. Pour la deuxième question, le rôle des pouvoirs publics, du secteur privé et des institutions dans la promotion des STEM, nous avons pensé qu'il fallait solliciter les médias publics pour l'élaboration de programmes faisant la promotion des STEM. Parce que, en général, en Afrique, on fait beaucoup la promotion de la culture, de l'agriculture, bien sûr, mais en matière scientifique, les pouvoirs publics ne mettent pas assez l'accent sur les STEM. Ces pouvoirs publics devraient également s'impliquer dans une meilleure visibilité des professionnels féminins qui ont réussi en matière de STEM. Autre élément sur lequel nous voulons insister, nous voulons solliciter auprès des pouvoirs publics.
Excusez-moi.
Oui.
Nous avons restriction de temps. Ici. So we would like you to move on to 2 minutes.
On va conclure. Oui, on va terminer. Voilà. Donc, on va aller à l'essentiel en disant toujours pour les pouvoirs publics la création de lycées scientifiques pour les jeunes filles avec internat pour faciliter l'octroi de bourse et faire donc la promotion des STEM. Quant au secteur privé, on souhaiterait encourager la formation continue des femmes dans les entreprises en vue de leur promotion au niveau professionnel et surtout reconnaître et primer ces entreprises qui font la promotion des femmes dans les STEM parce qu'il y a des difficultés à ce que les entreprises privées libèrent les femmes pour des formations continues. Et enfin, nous souhaitons la mise en place au niveau de la société civile d'une plateforme. Une plateforme qui va regrouper donc le COFOFSI, pour la Côte d'Ivoire, c'est le Compédium de compétences féminines, l'association des femmes ingénieurs et des femmes du STEM, comme on peut le dire en abrégé, et le CADUS, pour permettre d'avoir une plateforme d'échange pour poursuivre ces actions que nous venons de commencer et aussi permettre de sélectionner les entreprises que nous voulons primer dans ce cadre. Et enfin, au niveau des institutions internationales, notamment à l'endroit de l'Union africaine et de la Banque mondiale, nous sollicitons leur appui technique et financier pour continuer le processus. Nous voulons donc les remercier déjà pour ce qui est en train d'être fait depuis cet après-midi et nous souhaitons transmettre nos conclusions à Madame la Présidente de l'Union africaine et au Président de la Banque mondiale. Je pense que c'est ce que la Côte d'Ivoire a retenu. On avait beaucoup de choses à dire, mais à cause des contraintes du temps, nous nous arrêtons là. Merci beaucoup.
Merci bien. Okay.
So now that we are at our conclusion, we certainly are grateful to all of you who have participated today. And I will say that one of the areas that we did not talk a lot about was civil society, but certainly as we go forward, we want to look at that role. We have an example in this room where our university, Tubman University, had architectural students from Howard, Tuskegee, and Morgan to come to Liberia, and that was under the auspices of the William V. S. Tubman Foundation, and the chair of that eBerry project, Mr. Gerald Cooper, is here with us today. So we need to also look at how we can work with all of the various sectors of the community because we're all needed. And at this time, would we have the person who we should give a hand to who pulled all of this together, Jeanette Carr-Laguerre?
let me speak in French for my people in Côte d'Ivoire and in Mali. Bonsoir à vous tous, à vous toutes. Merci tous les participants et merci pour les travaux, pour les échanges que nous avons eus. Je voudrais d'abord commencer à dire merci à son Excellence Madame Amina Ali, qui est actuellement en Tanzanie et elle est candidate au poste suprême de son pays. Je pense que nous avons besoin de l'encourager en tant que femme, qui a été très ouverte et qui a vraiment permis à ce que cette conférence ait lieu. Je voudrais dire merci à notre vice-président Martha Diop, qui a immédiatement répondu présent et positif à la demande qui lui a été adressée par l'Union africaine. Je voudrais dire merci aussi à Séraphine qui est ici, qui reprend l'Union africaine pour aussi son leadership et puis sa disponibilité. Je voudrais remercier toutes mes collègues de la Banque mondiale qui ont participé et qui ont facilité cette conférence, y compris M. Boum qui est dans la salle, et sans oublier le forum qui a été mis en place par les éléments de CADUS. CADUS est en fait une organisation des associations de la diaspora africaine basée aux États-Unis. Donc c'est en quelque sorte une société civile basée aux États-Unis. Donc encore merci d'avoir répondu à notre appel. C'est votre forum, vous avez compris, vous avez apporté les solutions aux difficultés que les femmes ingénieurs et scientifiques rencontrent sur le terrain, et je pense que vos recommandations, vos suggestions, les échanges que vous avez acceptés d'avoir avec nous ne sont pas tombés dans le rôle de sourds. Vous avez l'Union africaine, vous avez la Banque mondiale et aussi vous avez CADUS qui est disposé à faciliter le travail, qui est disposé à en fait encourager cette collaboration entre la diaspora africaine basée aux États-Unis et les Africains en Afrique. Encore merci pour tous les ambassadeurs, ambassadrices qui ont fait le déplacement aujourd'hui. Encore merci et que Dieu bénisse l'Afrique. Merci.
Merci. So we want you to know, as we said at the beginning, that this is just the beginning. There are some of us who will be meeting, in fact, immediately after this meeting. We will take all of the suggestions that you have made today. We will look at them. We also would hope to publish the proceedings of this meeting, as well as if we get together next year, we plan to get together not just to talk, but to indicate and report on the actual activities that we have implemented between now and whenever the next meeting would be. So we hope that all of you have signed up, and so now we would like to hear from our African Union Compart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to add two recommendations that are from the keynote speaker. Before she left, she told me to tell you that the organizers, of course, the African Union, the World Bank, and the Diaspora, CADUS, we would like to have the same meeting with the other part of Africa. They said that now we had a conversation with countries of West Africa. It would be good to organize those meetings with Central, with countries in East, in Southern part of Africa, and in North. You know that the African Union, we have 5 regions, so please, if you can organize such meetings with other part of Africa, that will be really appreciated. I wanted to say it here and not in a small group, so that this recommendation is supported by all the participants to this meeting. The second one is specifically to the World Bank to help us to produce a documentary, to document best practices that has been stressed out even from Côte d'Ivoire, to help to showcase and to encourage next generation, young girls. So please help us to produce that documentary. That will be part of the campaign. Thank you very much.
Thank you. and Mr. Bloom from the World Bank, with Dr. Bloom.
Immediately follow up and say we would love to do that. And let's do that. And let's put those two So let's put it together where we build upon all the recommendations coming out of here. I very much also like and take on board the suggestions that were made by various persons around the gender research and assemble the statistics around this. I mean, we need to have hard evidence and have some key statistics that everybody can refer to and that everybody can join up and move forward with. So let's see, either one can put that in one document or a couple of documents, but let's we commit to that. I'll say that. And also some of the best examples that we are hearing today, I think it would be very good if we could get that. I don't know who can volunteer to take some of those best examples and make sure that we have them somewhere and that we can put that in a similar documentation. Because I think, and again also around the role models that was talked about today, that promotion is extremely important, I think. Good. Other things, of course, we will continue in our project work around support of math and science and basic education, changing, improving teacher education, and what was mentioned around this changing the approach towards STEM and math in particular. Then I think it's very important to say from a World Bank perspective that it's not us that are deciding where money should go. All of our projects are coordinated and go through a government for exactly the same reasons as was mentioned over there, that it is important that for all projects have to have the ownership. So it's government themselves that are deciding where to put that money in collaboration with us, and we can do advocacy, and we'll continue to do advocacy around gender for STEM and the role of women overall in development and the importance of it, of course. But joint advocacy is, of course, always more important than just coming from one body. And I think that's very important that all of us have a role to play. Good. I think also another thing that was interesting, at least that I've learned, is the number of interesting partners that one could build partnership with in terms of individual World Bank projects or World Bank finance projects. It's very important we are relatively small teams that work, but if we need to build capacity and change mindsets, that's through people-to-people interaction. And working with partners is where they can go into the schools, go into talk with the many teachers, go into the many universities and change that one person at a time. There it's extremely important to work with different partners. Lastly, I also very much like the idea of the competition and try to see if we can find some way of do competitions for the best women engineer or women mathematician. I think that is an interesting way of promoting the idea that always get attention. So I'll take that up with a couple of people. Good. And on the Côte d'Ivoire, actually we just received some proposals for centers of excellence in Côte d'Ivoire, so maybe they'll be interested in that. And I'll leave it on that and say that we are here for the long run, and this is going to be a long run. It's not a sprint, and we will continue to focus on women, and in particular women in STEM. So thank you very much for all the ideas.
Thank you
Very much. I believe Mr. Vlom has summarized some of the key findings that we have, and our encouragement is where we move forward. We would definitely put together the proceedings of this meeting and shared. We don't have enough time to elaborate all the key points at this end of the meeting, but there are steps out there to be undertaken, and one of them is we will put together proceedings and let you have it. That's why it's important to ensure that we have your emails, you have especially emails. These days, postage is going to be not the measure, but
She's going to say something.
okay. Yes. So it's important for us to know that this will happen, and we'll look forward to communicating with you on that regard. I don't want to add any more words to this. There's a suggestion in the paper about going forward. Is the idea formation of International Association for African Diaspora Women in STEM that will be developed. That is something that we cannot. We don't want to preempt it here, but the idea is in the paper, and something that we would like to see happen as we create the vehicles for promoting what we need to do. So with that comment, I would ask our guest speaker, Minister Fofana, to say a couple of words, and then we are required to be leaving here in a few minutes, so almost seconds. Okay, all right, thank you.
Ok, merci bien. Je remercie aussi à mes devanciers pour remercier les différents partenaires pour la tenue de cette rencontre. Pour propositions concrètes, j'ajouterai ce que M. Boone a dit, faire un truc d'excellence pour les femmes. Mais moi, je proposerais de faire un salon d'innovation technique sur les recherches et les innovations des femmes ingénieures et techniques. Et ceci, on peut le coupler avec les différentes rencontres régionales, par exemple au niveau de l'Afrique de l'Est, on fera autour d'un salon d'exposition. Et au cours de ces salons, nous allons inviter les jeunes filles aussi porteurs de projets de recherche à venir exposer leurs thèmes de recherche et qui peut être une opportunité de leur offrir des bourses dans ce sens, proposition concrète. Et ensuite, M. Boum a dit que ce sont les chefs d'État les projets doivent passer par les chefs d'État qui doivent appliquer. Je dirais que tout comme l'Union africaine avait décrété aux chefs de l'État la scolarisation des filles, d'ajouter à cette scolarisation des filles l'éducation scientifique des filles qui ne fera que consolider les acquis de la scolarisation des filles. Donc voilà un peu entre autres les quelques propositions concrètes que je vais faire, mais que, comme ça a été toujours dit, nous demandons toujours à la Banque mondiale et l'Union africaine de continuer le processus. D'abord à nous, les femmes scientifiques et ingénieurs, parce que ça a été dit, il faut un changement de comportement, un changement de mentalité pour que pour que ces femmes puissent s'assumer, se faire confiance elles-mêmes. Et comme ça, là, ça pourra attirer davantage la jeune génération dans ce sens. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. I believe that your voices have spoken. The next step we have is to get the voices speaking in our continental areas. So as you have suggested, we'll get our regional conferences to get more voice into this. And we trust that in doing so, we will have more participation beyond our immediate conference. You may want to provide the final concluding.
The concluding word is merci beaucoup.
Thank you.